You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Top of Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunder Chats. We are part of the Believe Network, and today, well, it's not the best day, but we're about to make it a lot better because we have a couple guests. But before we get to that, I got my partner in crime, the one, the only, the Alejandro Alex Roy. Alex, how are you, sir?
Darkness, pain, just all those emotions all creeping up all at once. So, yes.
It straight up looks like you're podcasting from the Batcave right now. Like from this angle, it's like you're about to say, "Oh, darkness is your ally."
I'm about to get emo on you like Robert Pattinson, Batman.
Okay, I love it. Well, Alex, it's not just me and you, man. So joining us today, first off, we've got one of the fastest growing accounts on Thunder Twitter. This man is, it goes without saying, like he's one of the most active members of the Twitter community. Please welcome the one and only, returning to the show, Yosef at Thunder Film Room.
What's up? Appreciate you guys having me on. I'm going to be honest, when you said fastest growing pages, I was fully expecting it to be Focus, not me. But
hey, I said one of them.
Hey, yeah. No, but thanks for having me on. As Alex said, pretty. Just what a day, man.
It indeed is a day. So, hey, without further ado, we also have a first-time guest. So, probably the fastest growing Twitter account on Thunder Twitter, a man who famously schedules his tweets. Please welcome the one and only Thunder Focus.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me on. Wish it was a better day, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's kind of bookended by good because we get to see Shea play some basketball here in a little bit, so that's always fun. Do all the superstitious things you could think of, like knock on wood, we need Shea healthy. Like nothing else can happen. But I'm gonna stop burying the lead, guys. We talked about how bad this day was because of the news, and the news is kind of what me and Connor talked about before. Chet obviously got hurt in the crossover league, and it came out yesterday that it was believed he had ligament damage. And it came out today that he will, in fact, miss the entire season with, was it a rupture tear? A tendon rupture?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, tendon rupture. So, yeah, it officially came out. Alex, I'll start with you, man. Whenever these, like, big events happen, you always kind of remember where you're at. Where was you when you saw the news that Chet was going to miss the season?
I was in school. I was, in my second hour, I think it was, first or second hour, and it was. I saw it on my feed. It came up on my watch, and I was like, crap. I was like, guys, just go ahead and work on your worksheets. I'm gonna be in the corner here, and so that's basically how it went, man. Like, here's the thing, like I was expecting something.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to be out for 2 months. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That type of time frame. But man, literally, Woj just said he's going to miss the entire 2022-2023 season. It's just like crap. It just sucks, man. It sucks because even though we were going into the season kind of hoping to see improvement, but not necessarily see like a vast improvement.
Yeah.
You still wanted our 3 core guys to start to kind of learn how to play with each other and play together and have just, 60 to 70 plus games of playing together and learning how to play together. And unfortunately, we're just going to get basically Shea and Giddey learning how to play together one more season. Hopefully they play more than 50 games like they did last season. So,
yeah, for sure. And, Yosef, I'm going to ask you the same question, man. Alex said he was in school. I'm sure when that news popped up, Alex was like, you know what, you guys just do a worksheet. I'm going to be busy for a little bit. But Yosef, where was you when you heard the news, man?
Dude, I was like right about to hop in the shower. I think the news dropped at like 9:30. Golf tournament was starting at 10. So I was like, okay, I have 30 minutes. Like, I'm going to chill a little, take a shower real quick before this golf tournament starts. And the second I saw, like, I got the Woj noti, and I knew automatically, like, after yesterday's tweet, I was like, they wouldn't tweet this out and go get a third opinion, fourth opinion if it wasn't a serious injury. But just the actual confirmation of it, like I just remember sitting on my bed for a solid 20 minutes, just like let out some expletives, and just thought about how like depressing, like it'll be a fun season, but it's just like I just couldn't stop thinking about like, oh my god, like the best role man on this team is Derek Favors as of right now. Like, I am in hell. Like, it's miserable.
Yeah, it's definitely rough, man. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna ask a question here in a little bit about who this benefits the most, and like you can make the case like Derek Favors like is one of the big beneficiaries of this because he was a guy that was kind of on the bubble in terms of roster crunch, even with his larger contract, harder to get rid of. But I mean, now we kind of have a hole at that big man position, so it could benefit Favors. But focus, man. Got to ask you too, man. Where were you when you got the news that Chet was missing the season?
I'm going to be honest. I just woke up, I checked my phone, and then my Twitter mentions, because I scheduled the tweet, right? Everyone's saying bad timing, and I already knew the Chet news was horrible. Like I just fell to my knees right there. I was like, "Come on, bro!
Oh man,
I really have to wake up to this."
Fell to my knees. I love it.
And then, of course, I checked the Woj tweet, and it's as bad as expected. And I'm just thinking there, like, we were so excited for SGA, Chet, and Giddey, and now we're going to basically have the same team as last season. It was just pretty disappointing initially, but as long as he's okay long-term, it's whatever at this point. You go with the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you touched on, like, Presti did have a media availability today, which was awesome. Like, I don't know like how par for the course it is for like a GM to jump on like as soon as news drops to like basically just open mic talk about it. But that's Sam Presti for you, and I think he alleviated a lot of the concerns. Mike Focus was alluding to that. While he is going to miss this year, it doesn't look like it's going to impact his career in the long term, which is just awesome. But Joseph, I'm gonna go back to you, man. You kind of told me how you was feeling when you saw the tweet before Presti's media availability. How did you feel afterwards? Did it help alleviate some of your concerns? Did it help you kind of take a sigh of relief or what?
Yeah, I was definitely relieved that it wasn't a bone fracture. I think that's what kind of scared me the most. Even whenever you see guys who have like lingering issues, it's usually a fracture. It's a bone fracture in their foot. I think that was the biggest thing for me. And also just like how quickly they were to like want to get surgery. I was texting a buddy last night who's in PA school, and he was like, they could just wait this out and see if it heals naturally. But then if it doesn't heal naturally, get surgery later on, like Michael Thomas did. And that would have just been an even longer recovery process. So I think that's what kind of comforted me the most. And also it's just like, at this point, it is what it is, right? It happened. You can't really, I'm big on like, we can't dwell on it for like forever or else we're just going to be here depressed. So I think the biggest thing is just like prioritizing his health and the recovery. Other than that, it's just a huge bummer, dude. Like that's all. It's like that's the biggest thing for me. It's a huge bummer, and I'm very pissed off at Jamal Crawford. I don't care what Sam said about it not being the wet court.
Yeah.
What a terrible event thrown like in terms of planning.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was definitely covering for Jamal Crawford there, but it was interesting to hear because I even told Alex, Alex was in the media availability. I was like, Alex, ask him ask him if he knew, like ask him if he gave approval about him playing in the Pro-Am League. And then of course Presti's like, yeah, it's a sanctioned league by the NBA. And like, that's just something that you don't even think about when they're doing the Pro-Am. Like you just think,
that's very interesting to me, man. Like, I didn't know those little Pro-Ams were, sanctioned by the league. Like I guess they have to kind of give their stamp of approval in order for guys to play in them, because if they get injured in these, you start to talk about, contracts and whether, they're viable, whether the player can receive the money, so on and so forth, whether insurance is going to pay for it. And so, yeah, hearing that, it was just kind of like, the responsibility does not fall on Jamal Crawford per se. And in the end, man, it was just a freak injury, man. Like it just happens from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a 260-pound guy barreling towards you. You're not in the best position. and your foot gets caught in the wrong place. I don't think that had anything to do with the court. It was just a bad, a bad happenstance.
Yeah. And I mean, whether it was the fact that it was LeBron, whether the court was wet, or whether like it was just something that was going to happen based on how he was stepping, like it's extremely unfortunate. It was interesting. Bobby Marks, I think, put out a series of tweets and said something about where it was a sanctioned event that Thunder gets like insurance money from the injury. So that is interesting and also encouraging. Nice to get a little bit of compensation for it. But Focus, I'm gonna go back to you, man. Same thing with Yosef. You said you fell to your knees when you heard the news, man. Was you able to stand up after you heard the words of Samuel Presti?
When Presti said like he was positive that he's going to be fine long term, and the entire plan, I was pretty confident then. And I feel like all the doctors, and I don't remember her name, but one of the ESPN injury analysis, she said it was like a 4 to 6 month recovery for him to get back to working out and stuff. So I think since I heard that, I was pretty confident that he'll be fine long term. And I believe Stephen Dolan, he found like this article which showed that 90% of athletes don't get any significant regression from this injury. So it seems it shouldn't have too much long-term impact on Chet's career.
Yeah. Shout out Steve. Steve, member of the pod, even though, the West Coast and the baby and everything makes it hard for him to be on. We still love Steve. But, yeah, man. Kind of like what Yosef was talking about with Michael Thomas, like, and Presti even talks about it in the media availability. Like, this is more of a football injury. Like, if you look at the history, it's football players because it's a contact injury usually. And, it's funny you mentioned Michael Thomas because, like you said, like they waited because he didn't want to go into surgery. He wanted to try to, let it heal and get back out there. And in turn, like he's missed like 300 something days. Like he hasn't played football in like 300 something days. Like it's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, hopefully I think that, like Presti does, like the Thunder do, they're being proactive about this. They're trying to, knock it out and make sure that, they do it right. And, so I appreciate that. But let's go back to Focus here. So Focus, you're pushing an agenda on your Twitter for this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and let you give him some love. In this question, who do you think benefits the most from Chet being out? And it might not even be that guy. You can bring up somebody else, but the floor is yours.
I know you're talking about Jalen Williams, but for this question, I'm actually thinking about the other Jalen Williams, the big.
Okay.
Because he'll be able to clear a lot of minutes out now. That's like 30 center minutes out because of Chet. Even if Favors does stay, I don't know if Jalen Williams was going to be in the rotation day one, and I think this gives me a lot more confidence that he will be, and I think it benefits him a lot because I don't think he's really a player who can develop much in the G League with his skill set, right? He's more of a big body. You want to play him with the starters a bit. And this is probably his biggest opportunity that he'll get with us. Because next year it'll be really tough with the new rookies coming in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Jay Will, I think is what they call him. I call the other one Santa. I don't really, so I just call the other one Jalen Williams. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. I think that, like you said, this could free up opportunity because, like we alluded to, Derek Favors, obviously, like it benefits him. Mike Muscala is going to get some run. And of course, JRE. Like JRE was already going to, like, I think, be an integral part of this rotation. But, Moose and Favors are more veterans. They rest on back-to-backs. Need more rest days. Like I think Jalen Williams is going to get a lot of opportunity, a lot of run. Yost, same question to you, man. Who do you think benefits the most from this?
I'm going to sound like such a pessimist, but like I really don't know if it benefits anyone. I have to lean towards Derek Favors, I guess, because I think there is like a very realistic chance now that he's on the roster. I guess if I had to say someone else, out of left field, Darius Baisley. I think that's a guy that just has been like a "what do we do with you this year" type of guy. And now that Chet is hurt, it's kind of like, okay, those minutes open up. He's not bad defensively, and so I think that just gives him more playing time in terms of lets us see what he can do for one last year. But But other than that, like I think if anything, it's just in terms of everyone, I don't think it really benefits anyone. If anything, I think it kind of hinders some guys' development in terms of like pick and rolls and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, it's just one of those things. Give me all the JRE minutes, honestly.
Yep.
I like skinny JRE from what we saw in Summer League. I really like skinny JRE.
Yeah, man, he was a killer. He was all over the place. He was cracking me up. Like every time he did one of those one-hand rebounds, like he was all over the place with those. So, Alex, let me ask the question to you, man. Are you going to pick a player? Or are you going to lean more toward Joseph? Like nobody benefits.
Well, I mean, so I put out a tweet earlier as far as who benefits, and I did say, Derek Favors, he makes the roster, because of this. I said that Bays and Poku because it opens up minutes. Those are going to be minutes that the Thunder were going to prioritize Chet's development. And so you were talking about probably 30 to 32 minutes a night. And so those 30 to 32 minutes are gone. And so somebody has to take those. So you could probably say, Darius Baisley gets 15 more minutes. Poku gets 15 more minutes to whatever they were supposed to play. And then I said also, Jalen Williams, J-Will. He's going to benefit. But kind of thinking about it, I think the main beneficiaries, as weird as it may seem, are going to be SGA and Giddey learning how to play together because they did not get a lot of run together last year. If I remember, even though Giddey played like 50, 56 games, as far as playing with SGA, they only played they even played 40 games together. And so, having an extra season to where they can go ahead and continue to develop their games together, continue to develop, how they play on the floor, how they share the playmaking responsibilities with this team. I think it's going to go far because, they're going to go into the season and they were going to have that third weapon out there. And I think it may have hindered their progression as a dual playmaking combo. I think now they have to learn how to play together in order for this team to actually, compete. Even though they're probably not going to win too many games, for them to compete, they're going to have to know how to play together and they're going to have to learn how to play together. So I think it benefits, in the long run, having them develop that chemistry and having them develop that ability to play together.
Yep, for sure, man. And we really only had one game sample size of like after they had their come to Jesus moment when there was like, okay, like we need to figure out how to make this work, and like they were great. Like it was two of their best games all season. One of their best games for the both of them. However you want to word that. But we only got one game sample size, so I'm with it. I'm looking forward to see it. I guess beneficiaries is all those people that said Chet's frame was going to kill him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the confirmation bias everywhere. So, no, I did, like, I can't retweet it enough. Like, Sam Presti's saying, like, I don't think the frame has anything to do with it. It's like, can we just, like, plaster that? Can we put that on the ESPN's bottom line? Do they still do that? Like, just a ticker so everybody could see it. Like Chet's frame had nothing to do with this injury. Even after like the tweet came out, after Presti's media availability, I think Bleacher Report said that Chet's out for the year after what was it? After taking contact from LeBron or something. Like, get the freak out of here, dude. So annoying. All right. I'm going to calm down now. So, all right, going back to focus here. I'm going to ask you the flip side. Who do you think is going to miss Chet the most? As Joseph said, he doesn't think anybody benefits. So I'm not going to let you say that everybody's going to miss him the most. I want you to pick somebody and talk about it.
I think it's basically everyone, but I'm going to pick SGA because I think his game with Chet was going to be great. He finally gets a real like rolling presence, like a pick and roll partner. And unlike Derek Favors or Jerry, Chet can actually pop on the perimeter and hit some threes. Mm-hmm. So he kind of has like a combo of like Favors and Muscala, like an actual rolling partner and actual pick and pop partner. So I thought that would benefit him a lot, like open the game a lot for him, and possibly make him a better playmaker since he'll like look more for interior passes. But basically everyone on the roster outside of the young bigs, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Shay's the easy answer for sure because I mean, like you said, man, like we just got to get Shay spacing, and we had it. We had it at the big spot. We had like pick and roll, pick and pop. Like I just remember like him leading the league in points per possession in like 2020, and he had Isaiah Roby and friggin' Moses Brown as his role man. Like, and I was like, we have Chet. Like it's gonna be so amazing. And then yeah. So I feel that. Yosef, I know the easy answer, Shay, man. I want you to go against the grain. Who you got?
So I was going to go with the guards, but I actually do like the point Alex made about I do think this forces Shay and Josh to play together like much better because I think Chet would have made that a lot easier for them. But I think overall I go towards the defensive end. I think the defense will feel it. I understand they were top 10 before the Lou injury and before we started pulling guys. But I do think that Chet would have played a very big role on the defensive end. And then I think it does affect like a J-Dub at the 4 kind of in terms of small ball lineups because I think that would have been a very good like experimental stage. Now it's like you put J-Dub at the 4 and then it's like what Bayes at the 5 or something or JRE. And like I'm big against JRE at the 5, not a believer in him at center personally. So I think just those guys, but overall, I think the defense, it was very exciting to think about. Like, while yes, Chet's a rookie and rookies don't very much affect winning, it was very exciting to think about, okay, Oklahoma City has their defensive anchor, their weak side rim protector already in just year 2 of the rebuild. And then just like in a snap of a finger, that's all gone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know this J-Dub guy you're talking about. I think you meant to say Santa. It's okay. We'll let it slide. But no, you made a good point, like, especially – just around the rim, man. Like, I mean, obviously, like he was going to block a lot of shots with his length and his size and his instincts, but like also just being a deterrent, man. Like, I mean, we haven't had that really since, Steven Adams was gone. And then like, in the latter years, like it was Steven Adams was kind of a welcome mat at the rim. But, I just remember in the summer league, like Josh Christopher was just tearing the summer league up, like, and he was torturing us in that game too. And I remember he was coming in on a drive and he just sensed Chet around him and he'd like just try to get rid of the ball as fast as he could and threw it straight out of bounds. Like that's the type of impact Chet has on the defensive end. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Alex, you got a different answer, man, on who's going to miss Chet the most?
Weird answer, but I think JRE is going to miss him because I think JRE is now going to be thrust into being like basically the only 5 on this roster that's young and it's developing. We're gonna have Derek Favors, but I don't think the team is necessarily going to play him that much. He's probably not going to play back to backs, and so I think JRE is kind of thrust into a role that the team didn't necessarily think that he would play. They thought that it would be like kind of a Twin Towers type situation with him and Chet, and they would learn how to kind of grow together and how to play together. And so now JRE is, basically the 5 on a team that has hardly any height. And so, we're going to have situations where we get dominated on the boards, and on the interior, we're going to get probably, there's going to be a lot of points scored in the paint because of that reason.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm going to go with Josh Giddey for mine. I mean, obviously the dudes have been training together all summer. Josh Giddey, like one of the perceived reasons why he wanted to not only play in summer league, but play as long as he did in summer league was so he could develop a chemistry with Chet Holmgren because he knows how important he is to his team. But also just like, we know how good of a passer is, how gifted a passer Josh Giddey is. Like, I don't know what his potential assist numbers were off the top of my head from last year, but, having quality teammates, guys that can knock down a shot, that can finish assist off the roll, off the spot up, like, yeah, that was going to, not improve. That was going to help Josh Giddey. Much in the same way as Shea, but, Shea still kind of creates gravity for himself driving to the rim. Josh Giddey's still, a rookie. He doesn't have the ability that Shea does in that point. And, guys can kind of collapse on a little bit more. But I think Giddey's definitely going to miss him. We saw the Instagram post where he put the hearts with, them with their arms around each other, real touching. They've been flirting all off season. So it was a nice culmination of that moment. But guys, before we let Alex go, get back to work, and we go to a break for a word from our sponsors, I want to hear what your new starting lineup projections are, and I'm gonna start with Alex.
Oh man, so I think against Minnesota opening night, I think it's gonna be Josh, SGA, and Dort in the backcourt. And then I think it's going to be JRE and Baisley in the front court.
Yeah. And I'll just go ahead and chime in. I think that is going to be my pick as well for this juncture. But Yosef, you got anything different, or are you jumping on that train?
Alex was breaking up for me, but I think he said JRE, Bays, Lou, Shay, and Josh.
Yes.
I think. Okay, then yeah, I fully agree. I think that's the obvious one, low key.
Yeah. Focus, man. You know, you've been hyping up Jalen Williams. You know, you're pushing the Rookie of the Year agenda, the All Rookie Team agenda. Do you have him in your starting lineup, or do you see somebody else in there?
I think it's the same as all of you guys said, but hopefully J-Dub does start. I hope it does. I hope he does. Maybe eventually in the middle of the season that happens, but I don't see it happening day one.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a ton of starting lineups this year.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Chain gang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can't wait to see my boy Uzi out there. All right, guys. Well, Alex, we'll let you get back to work. Appreciate you coming on, brother. And listeners, stay tuned for a word from our sponsors. And on the other side, Family Feud with Connor and my wife, Chelsea.
Thunder up.